All right, welcome to 0 to 60. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. We are down here at the lab at 60 Football Academy. Make sure you check it out, 60 Football Academy, 60strength.com. All over social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at 60 Academy. Follow the show at 0 to 60. And then also follow the equipment company at 60 Equipment. I know that's a lot, but we got a lot of shit going on. Today's show is going to be stacked at 10:15. Coach Mike Sanford, who's now Media Mike, is going to come on and talk the Nugs, college football, the NFL, and God knows what else we're going to get into. So that's at 10:15, so don't go anywhere. Until then, I'm just going to fill the air with as much as I can here. Bree Macis is on the ones and twos behind the computer today producing this monstrosity. So we'll see how much I don't fuck up, hopefully. But as always, our show is brought to you by our good friends at Bet Online. They do a great job of supporting the show and making the show available to the masses. Bet Online is your number one source for your NBA and NHL playoffs this season. Unfortunately, in Denver, both are over. In a 48-hour stretch, the Avs and the Nugs were both eliminated. Every stat, every matchup, and every live odd while your game is being played is on Bet Online. When your game's over, head over to the online casino and get on the game, a blackjack, poker, or unwind with one of the 150 slot games. I'm a sucker for blackjack. I love yelling monkey. Whenever I hit 21, monkey, 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 monkey! Get me in fucking Vegas and it's trouble. Head to the website today and get in on the action. Don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV. That's BLEAV for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online is where the game starts, and it's where we start off today on 0 to 60. Remember to go to YouTube and Twitch and like and subscribe. The subs and the super chats are open, and we're already fucking rolling big time this morning. My man Mike Bundy throwing $19.99 for the Nick School Fund, so that's pretty cool. Or the Nick Shoe Fund, excuse me. The Nick Shoe Fund and the Nick and Logan Shoe Fund is getting pretty big, so that's pretty cool. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate the donation from the mental health talk this morning with Coach JB on the Coach JB show. So, yeah, man. I mean, I don't really agree with Coach on his take about mental health. He would just get rid of the guy altogether. I would prioritize mental health and try and help the kid before I just cut his ass all completely. That's not going to help him. But again, it's different ways of thinking. Not everybody's a bitch. Like, not everybody's soft. Not everybody's a bitch. Not everybody's a soft pussy. Like, just because they're going through some shit. So, you know, in my opinion, the guys who act like they're not going through shit and are never vulnerable and never show any emotion in that regard are really the guys that are probably going through the most. So, you know, usually, in my opinion, the loudest one in the room is most of the time the most insecure and most of the time the most unaware. So, you know, take that into consideration. Now, all that said, you know, are there guys who use the mental health as an excuse to act like a fuckboy? Yeah, there are. But are the majority of people that are dealing with mental health issues real? Yeah, they are. So you've got to walk this with a fine line here. You can't just have one way or the highway on these. You know, it goes person by person, case by case. You never know what somebody's dealing with, so just keep that in mind when you're dealing with people. But Mike, we really appreciate you this morning getting in on this and donating $19.99 to the Nikki and Logan Shoe Fund. So appreciate that, bro.
Matt, can you explain your blackjack comment? I don't understand what monkey means.
Oh, monkey's just another way of yelling 21. I couldn't even tell you why.
I've never heard that before.
I don't know why we yell monkey, but we get around the table and somebody will be like, you know, I'll have a king and I'll be like, oh boy, come on, hit me with the monkey. They hit you with the 21, fucking monkey, and everybody just freaks out. I don't know why. It was really cool though. I had a lot of fun. I hit like 3 or 4 monkeys in a row.
Never heard it before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So me and the boys in Vegas back in the day, that sure was a lot of fun. I can't wait to go do that again. So, but yeah, if you hear somebody in Vegas yelling monkey, it's me. And I did it, no less, the last time I went, well, I don't know, 3rd or 4th last time I went to Vegas, I did it in a banana suit. I had to wear a banana suit the whole time. And I was yelling monkey in a banana suit running around the casino. It was weird. I had an awesome time. I don't know about you guys. But yeah. So look, from a mental health perspective, coming from the guy who just said he was running around in a banana suit yelling monkey, listen to me about mental health. This is 0 to 60 on the Believe Network. I'm Matt McChesney, and we're going to change the topic. As we roll here, anybody wanting to get involved with the comments over here, anything you guys want to talk about, Coach Mike Sanford is going to be joining us at 10:15 to talk about a variety of different issues, from the Nuggets to college football to the NFL, the Buffalo selling out, their season for the second consecutive year, first time maybe ever. Rocky offseason in Boulder in some perspectives, but also in others. Then, if you're talking to Coach Prime, they expected all this, but we'll get his opinion on this. Coach Sanford was the coach up there, the intern head coach for, before Coach Prime. And, look, they made the right hire in Coach Prime, but there is part of me that definitely wanted Coach Sanford on the staff, but also wanted him to, get serious consideration for the head job. So when Coach Prime moves on down the road after he wins a couple natties, maybe they can interview the big guy again. So Coach Sanford's a hell of a coach, and, he loves CU, so we're going to get his opinion on a lot of different things. So
how about that game last night?
All right. So look, Pacers, Boston last night, before we jump into everything with Coach Sanford here in about 5 minutes. Good game. There's something about Boston, man. They're so talented, and they always play down to their competition. And I know that Indiana played their ass off, and they shot an insane clip, and both teams were just back and forth, and there was very little defense played. There was some situational defense played, but very little, really good defense. It was in overtime, 131-128 or something like that, 133-128. So a hell of a game. The Miles Turner kid, who's been in Indiana forever, the Texas product, 7-footer, just draining threes. He's a hell of a player, getting his first chance to be really seen in the playoffs on that stage. He's been in Indiana for 9 years and first time in the playoffs, so that's pretty cool. But looking at just the Eastern Conference Finals, this is Boston's year to go to the fucking finals and win. And I'm a Nugget fan, obviously, and I'm pretty disappointed in Game 6 more than Game 7. Game 6 is one of the most vile monstrosities and ever perpetrated on a fan base ever. And I went to Game 2. Bring and I went to Game 2, and it was a fucking disaster.
We just shouldn't talk about that.
It was one of the worst fucking sporting events I've ever been to. I can only imagine what it was like to go to Game 6 as a Nugget fan in Minnesota, of all things. It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. So we're going to talk about that with Coach Sanford here, as he's on altitude, so he's got some insight doing the show with Demps. But the Celtics, you've got the world by the balls right now. You're the best team in basketball from a record perspective, and you're playing a 6 seed, and on the other side of the bracket's a 3 and a 5. So the Mavs have had a good run, but they're a hell of a basketball team when Luka and Kyrie are playing at a high level, and the trade for PJ Washington seemed to work out for them. So they're on the up. They're only going to get better in the West. Minnesota, they're real. And the Ant-Man is real, and still the Nuggets are a better team, and they should have fucking won the series up 3-2 and shit, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Boston, last night, that game was entertaining as hell. That's the way I want to watch an NBA playoff game, back and forth, guys selling out. I think Indiana is going to push Boston, but they're not going to beat them. They're not going to beat them in 7 games. So
Celtics have to challenge that narrative that they choke it.
That's what I'm saying. The Celtics do choke. I mean, they are fucking straight choke artists. They should have beat the Warriors in the finals, choked. They should have beat the Heat, choked. This is their 3rd straight finals, Western Conference Finals appearance. They need to get over the hump. This is the year Boston needs to win a championship. That group needs to go win a title this year, especially with the teams that are still left. Now, look, if you're really looking at it, I think Minnesota is the best team still on the floor. Boston has been together longer, and they're probably have a little bit more like give and take back and forth. But man, Minnesota is fucking talented, and they're big. And the Porzingis kid for Boston's always hurt, where Rudy and Kat are playing their ass off, and then Naz Reid off the bench, the 6th man of the year. I think Minnesota is probably the best team left, but Boston needs to go win this title and solidify, them not being a bunch of fucking scam artists and choke artists. I mean, let's be real. They've been so good for so long, and they have dick to show for it. So
what do you think is going to be in the finals?
The finals right now is going to, I think it's going to be Boston, Dallas. I think Dallas is going to shock the world and beat Minnesota. I really do. So, and I'm no fan of the Timberwolves right now, but I mean, we'll see. From
I think it says vacation.
Vacationing with kids. Yo, Matt, what's good? What's up, bro? How are you, bro? Whoever you are. Hi, person. Let's see what else here before Coach Sanford comes on. From FPSD, there needs to be legit contracts between the collective and the player for the money given and the time he played at the school. And I'm assuming you're talking about the NIL discussion from Coach JB's show earlier. Man, there needs to be something. Something's fucking got to give here. They got to figure something out. There needs to be, agents and adults involved. I mean, fuck. The fact that this kid from Arizona State, and I'm going to talk to Coach Sanford about this. I can't remember the kid's name, but I mean, he's all over social media right now. I'm sure we can find the graphic if we really want to look. That the fact that he gets $14 fucking million, like you actually expect me to believe that this kid reeled in $14 million as a freshman in college? What? I mean, over 4 years, $14 million, and now he's suing Napier and Florida for his handshake deal. I'm sorry, but do you parents and children actually think that handshake deals mean anything? Jaden Rashada. You see all these? These are contracts to do business. It says in the contract that you have to do your job in order to get paid and then in order to work out. It's not a handshake deal. Hey, come on in. We'll dap it up. That's not the fucking way this works. $14 million. Get the fuck out of here, dog. You actually expect us to believe that shit. Fuck. And look, I like Kenny Dillingham. I'm hopefully going to get him on the show here. I'm trying to sell him some body bags. Speaking of which, 60equipment.com. Go check out the body bags. Coach Rule did an awesome job talking about the body bags. I think we still got those clips in the thing. So listen to Coach Rule real quick before I tell you a little bit more and where they're headed, because there's about to get a couple shipped out here soon.
This is Matt Rule over at Nebraska, man. I just want to take a moment to thank you for putting us on this 6-0 body bag, man. It's been an unbelievable tool for us. I get a lot of feedback, a lot of questions from coaches sometimes about, why we like it so much. And I think besides the safety of it, besides the width and girth of it, I think the thing that I like, especially as a former defensive line coach, is, there's two parts to playing defensive line and using your hands, as you know. Number one is building the strike and the punch to knock a 300-pounder back. And so, obviously, many times we'll use, like we use here, we'll use the sleds, but you don't have to time your punch on a sled. And so it's always been this juxtaposition of, hey, I'm going to work on the sled, I'm going to strike, so I'm striking something with surface area and girth and some physicality to it. But at the same time, I want that shield to move. I want that bag to move, so I'm going to use a shield.
I hate that music. I'm sorry. I cut it short.
Yeah, it's okay. Now, I'll tell you one thing about everything 6-0 related. It's girth. We're girthy around this motherfucker. And the body bags are no different. So big ups to Matt Rule and the University of Nebraska for all they do. They really get a lot out of their bags. CU gets a lot out of theirs. Purdue, SMU, Coach Garn Justice, the offensive line coach down there, has got a couple shipping out down to Dallas. So that's pretty cool. I'm going over to Valor High School. That's right. Me, the God and heathen fucking atheist guy, is going over to Valor today, taking 2 bags to Coach McGatlin and meeting with the D-line coach and going over what we can do there. So they're on the way to Valor as well. We're trying to bridge those gaps. So look, the body bag, the blocking shield is an elite piece of equipment. If you're out there and you want to check it out, 60equipment.com. If you're watching right now and you check this out, you can get the bag 2 for 1 by using my last name as a promo code. So anybody watching out there and you want to get one for your nephew or your son or whatever, you're a kickboxer and you want to beat the shit out of something. That's really what these things are modeled after, is the old kickboxing shield that I was like, wow, I bet you could turn it into a blocking shield. So go check that out, 60equipment.com. Coach Mike Sanford is going to join us here very shortly. He'll be coming on here in a second. I just got done texting him. So we'll get into all these different topics that we have to discuss. Primarily the University of Colorado selling out for the second straight year, moved to the Big 12. I really wanted to talk about Jalen Richard and the $14 million fucking, tab that this guy's trying to sue for. I mean, you can just sue for anything, bro. And look, the way I feel about people that sue people, if it's valid, I guess, but I mean, I got ran over on a golf course by my best friend who was drunk as fuck when he did it, and I didn't sue him. And maybe I'm a fucking idiot for not doing it, but I don't know, man. I just don't sue my friends. He was my friend at the time. He was my brother, and I didn't want to fuck with him and take his money. And I felt really bad about the situation. Even though my career was over, I can get up and go get a fucking job and work. So I don't sue my friends, and I know these guys aren't friends and shit, but at the same time, a handshake deal is far from a contract. So what the fuck? From Andre Duke, what's up, brother? How are you? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the show. Sorry we haven't been on Monday and Tuesday. I didn't feel like it, so I can deal with it, bro. Can you get Darren Shiverini on the show? Guaranteed. You want Shiv on the show? I'll text Shiv. Let's text Shiv right now. Let's see if Shiv will come on the show. Shiv.
While you're doing that.
Will you come on my podcast? Love you. So we'll see what he says. But yeah, Coach Shiv's down there at Northeastern. He's going to do a great job with that program. Just a matter of time for Coach Shiverini as a power or a mid, a group of five head coach, and then he'll, get that opportunity to go back to, the biggest level where he was an OC. I know that Coach Shiv wanted that CU job bad, but it just wasn't the time for it. And he's going through the ladder of, adversity here as a coach you need to go through to prove that you can handle one of the biggest jobs in the country. So I think he's going to do a great job when he does get the opportunity. Coach Sanford just got in the house, so he'll be joining us here shortly. Quarterbacks are on their own fucking time frame. I don't really know what to tell you. All these goddamn quarterbacks everywhere.
They kind of just walk.
Just do whatever they want. We start the show when I say we start the fucking show. So, how would you guys feel if Coach Sanford and I did a show together? I think it'd be pretty cool. Bree, what do you think?
Can we sponsor it with Factor?
I think we should sponsor it with Factor. And look, Factor is going to bring you our Coach Sanford segment here and all of our football talk moving forward. So check these guys out. Factor came on when we got our Twitch channel up, and you can use the promo code FACTOR-SE48328, and they will get you a really good setup here. 50% off, free wellness shots for life. Factor is our football talk sponsor. They do a really good job, and the food is excellent. They do a great job supporting the Dungeon family, so check them out.
East Coast Gridiron says do it.
Do it. Do it.
Well, he was talking about a show with Coach Sanford.
Well, do the Factor thing too, but yeah, do both. Everybody in the chat too. Super chats and subs are open on Twitch and on Instagram and on YouTube. So make sure that you're contributing to Nick and Logan's Shoe Fund. And look, man, the opportunity to do a show with Coach Sanford, I think would be really good. We have good back and forth, and anytime you can get a quarterback's perspective, that's usually a good thing. So we'll see how all that goes, but I would not be surprised at all if we've got some news for you on that going forward. Also, we're going to be doing football camps here in June and July. So, and Coach Sanford and I are going to be involved with that as well. So we're going to be sending invites out all over the state, all over the area, and all over the country, honestly. Kids hit me up constantly looking for camps and opportunities to come work. So we're going to do 3 to 5 camps through June and July. Out here in the great state of Colorado, up at Meade High School where Coach Sanford coaches, and we'll find a spot down here, whether it's a Pondo or Legend or something like that, to go do a couple of camps, and then we'll go over to Mount Vista, Coach Looney, and that's where my son's playing, and I'm coaching this year, and we'll do a couple camps over at Vista and get the Vista staff involved and whatnot. So we'll be sending out invites to the camps and whatnot. We'll probably call it the Savage and Sanford football skills camp, a lot of college football recruiting, advice. It'll be a 2-dayer instead of a 1-dayer. So I'm pretty excited about it, and really can't wait to get all that going. And we'll see what happens. But the turnouts at those are pretty good, and people tend to show up and really compete their asses off. The U.S. Army All-American Bowl Combine was only half a day, and the kids really went out there and sold out and busted their ass. But when you have a 2-day camp, you can really, teach and get the most out of the guys involved. And now, with NIL and the way things are set up, I can invite all the coaches. That doesn't have to be any more like, I'm going to stand in the corner and watch deals. They can actually just go out and then evaluate, which is going to be awesome. So we're going to invite damn near every coach I know, and it's going to be a big time event. So you definitely want to get involved with the camps. If you're a parent, your kids are looking for opportunity, and maybe you aren't in a program like 60 Football Academy, then this is an opportunity to actually see what we do for the weekend, but also, put yourself out there. You go out in a camp and ball the fuck out, and people see it, and it blows up on social media. All of a sudden, you're getting recruited. So that's how this works. So, yeah, man, we'll see how all that goes. But Coach Sanford's going to be joining us here whenever he decides to join us here.
Real quick question from Coach Stokes has a super chat. I don't know what that means, but
what's up, Coach? We need you to equip with campers with all the ramp wristbands. I think Coach Stokes sent me something. I still haven't gotten it yet. I don't know what you sent me, so I'm all for trying to figure out what the ramp wristbands are and trying them out for you, brother. But I still haven't gotten anything yet in the mail, so definitely reach back out to me. Appreciate the donation. Donations. The Nick and Logan Shoe Fund.
FBSD said, as a longtime Hawaii fan, the run shoot is a ton of pass blocking. Is that an advantage for the offensive line?
If the run and shoot was an advantage, it would have won a Super Bowl. It beats up bad defenses. But when run and shoot, ask Houston, ask Buffalo, ask those teams that ran the run and shoot. Yeah, it works until it doesn't. And look, the run and shoot is kind of what everybody runs these days because of just the up-tempo, 10, 11 personnel, no huddle shit that people do. But, the run and shoot was a revolutionary offense back in the day in the NFL, but it never really won anything, man. It's crazy to me that, when it got down to the nit and gritty, Houston and Buffalo beat each other up a lot, but then Buffalo could never get over the top with those run and shoot offenses. They always seem to hit, a better team in the Super Bowl that could just shut them down. Even the Giants beat them in that first Super Bowl with offense. And this is what I mean. Otis Anderson ran the fucking ball down Buffalo's throat the entire fucking game. And then they had like an 11-minute drive. So they just annihilated Buffalo in the time of possession and eliminated their opportunities, which in turn won the game for them by a point. So if they had a chance to win any of those games, and the run and shoot had a chance to really, be the offense of the future, I guess the best example of it working is the Rams. And I know that the greatest show on turf is a little bit different, but it was pretty much the run and shoot, just with incredibly gifted players everywhere. And they just made it look a little bit easier, in my opinion.
Andre Duke wants to know Steph Jones versus Tool. Who you got?
Oh God. I don't know. I can't make this decision. This is, my head's going to explode. I don't fucking know. Like, I have to pick one and the other one I never get to listen to again.
I don't think it's that serious.
Oh man. I'm going to go. I don't know, bro. This is a fucking tough. I'm going to go Deftones because I like Tool shows. I don't love them. I fucking love Deftone shows. Deftone shows are so fucking fun. They are incredible. I went and saw Deftones at Incubus at Red Rocks years ago. It was fucking nuts. It was my first concert ever, was a Deftone show down at old Magnus Arena way back in the day. Yeah, I'm old. Shut the fuck up. But Tool shows are cool. I took Nick to a Tool show for his birthday for his first concert ever. Maynard's weird as fuck, and that's cool. I knew he was. But every time I go to a Tool show, they never really play their hits, and it's more like we're too. It's very smug and pretentious and shit, and they don't let you like record anything, and you only take a fucking picture once and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna go with the Deftones, but I fucking love Tool, but I'm gonna go with Deftones.
Crosses also adds to the Deftones.
Yeah, and that's also true. Crosses is pretty incredible, and that's if you don't know who that is and you're a Deftones fan, I didn't know who it was, and I'm a huge Deftones fan. Go check them out.
You're welcome. It's
a little bit calmer Deftones, I guess. And yeah, it's all because of Bree. Everything positive is because of Bree. Everybody remember that.
Ryan Nolan's giving us a little background on Ramp. It's future recruiting, recruits' contact information, HUDL, social media, QR codes. It sounds like something we're interested in. So if it doesn't get over this way, go ahead and send it over to Bree, and we'll try to get that sorted for everyone.
Looks awesome.
East Coast Gridiron says Deftones is an anytime listen. Classic and great stuff all the time. Tool's a great listen when you're struggling from
That's fair. That's fair.
Hey, Mike's here.
All right, so let's roll. Coach Mike Sanford joining us here on 0 to 60. Remember, all of our football talks brought to you by our good friends at Factor. Use the promo code Factor SE48328. Is that it?
God, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, 4832. Look at that shit. At Factor SE48328. So it's not all CTE and bong resin in the old duder's head. But I bring on my man, Coach Mike Sanford here. You can hear him on Altitude Sports Radio. You're doing tons of shit for Boise State. I mean, tell me everything you're doing these days, bro, because you are fucking everywhere. Mike Sanford, go.
Maybe if it's
Oh, we're fucked. Mike Sanford, then he's go. I said go, and he took the fuck off. Said Mike Sanford go, and he had a flashback, and he started running fucking sprints. Go where?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, he's back.
Man.
All right, so let's try that again. Coach Sanford joins 0 to 60 here on the Bleed Network. Coach, welcome to the show, bro. Hey, so you can hear him on Altitude Sports Radio all the time, and he's got a ton of other shit going on. Coach Sanford, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing with yourself before we start talking about all this bullshit.
You there, bud?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here. Are you there?
Hey, I'll tell you what, my Wi-Fi right now is working about as well as the Nuggets did in the second half of Game 7, brother. It's been a little hit and miss there, but yeah, a lot going on, man. Not quite as much as you. I came on the show when you said CT and bong resin, so I don't quite have as much going on as you do, brother. But yeah, just been coaching a lot, doing high school coaching up here in Northern Colorado, working with Meade High School and Jason Klattner. You there? Am I cutting out?
Fucked up. Yeah, your internet this is gonna be like wicka. Your internet's definitely screwed up a little bit. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good now.
Okay, good.
I had to do shoot. Hey, let me do a quick recycle. I'll be right back.
Recycle. Okay, so this is where we get into the real nit and gritty of the show, because I have no idea what the fuck we're supposed to talk about. So I have extended for 27 minutes. I extended my Coach Sanford's supposed to be on the fucking show, and I used all my shit for the day. And now I'm fucked because now he has to reboot, and I don't know what else to talk about. So I'm just gonna start fucking talking because I'm nervous, and I'm just nervous talking. What's the question?
Wait, pay attention to me, and I've got you as always. Jesse Marion said, "What college football teams, in your opinion, have the best OL and PL?"
Alabama.
As a contingency, just the whole thing.
Yeah, the University of Alabama, Michigan. Stanford did a great job for years of putting guys out. There's football factories out there now. Ohio State, where you go and you develop and you get drafted. Period. Texas A&M does a really good job. There's certain places that Nebraska, throughout time, has been an O-line, D-line factory. Look, a lot of it depends on the player, but a lot of it also depends on the place. The University of Oklahoma, Coach Bill Beatenbaugh, they don't get any better than that. And you go look in the fucking league at the best players at each position on the offensive line, and a lot of them are Oklahoma guys that learned under Bill Beatenbaugh. Phil Lodeholt got hired, played under Coach Bill Beatenbaugh. He's the O-line coach at CU now. Coach Beatonbaugh and I are tight. That's my guy. And I actually got a fucking body bag in here, 60equipment.com, going to Beatonbaugh when we go out to camp. So they invited Nick out to camp on the 8th of June. So that's going to be pretty fucking cool. Look, man, a lot of the best place, it depends on the mindset, the culture, and then, the history of it. If you're a big-time offensive and defensive lineman, which is all I work with in here, Brett Coolidge is 30 offers deep. Reese Russell's 15 offers deep. Deacon's 5 offers deep. Zane's 5 offers deep. Like, this is just this year's group. On top of everybody else that we put out from 6-0, it's fucking nuts. Everybody that I work with, I'm not trying to get them to go experiment. I'm not, like, you can go anywhere in the transfer portal, but out of high school, if you're a big timer, like Gage Ginther, when we're talking about, like, do you want to go play at Colorado? Do you want to go to West Virginia? Yada, and then Tennessee offers him and they start courting him and they love him, bro, you're going to play in the SEC. It's not debatable. Trey Zune, Texas A&M, you're going to play at A&M. It's not debatable. Big Breck's getting offered by everybody and his mother, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Nebraska. Colorado still haven't offered him, which is fucking nuts to me. I'm going to put up the video of him talking about it. He just brought it up on the show on Friday. It kind of like hurt my feelings. We don't want 4 and 5 star ass kicking offensive lineman in Boulder, I guess, just because he's from Denver, so he can't play. But, whatever. Just keep disrespecting your fucking home state over and over and over again to see how it goes. But Reese Russell hasn't been offered by CU yet. His father, Matt Russell, played there and is on the wall in the practice facility, won the buckets there. Kind of a good player. So why would we want the lineage? He's only a sophomore. So, there's so many good players. I'm advising my guys to go to Michigan and Alabama and LSU and Texas A&M and places where they take offensive and defensive line development seriously so you can go to the fucking NFL, period.
Rigank says Iowa is solid.
Iowa's an unbelievable factory for offensive and defensive linemen and tight ends. Holy fuck, do they put out tight ends? Look, Iowa can put out everything but quarterbacks. Like, let's be real. CJ Beathard was their best player at that position, and who's that? So he's a good pro. I'm saying this. If Iowa ever gets a real quarterback and they can figure out how to score 28 points a fucking game, they might win a national title because their fucking defense is outstanding all the time. They're always disciplined. They play their balls off. They recruit the shit out of kids. They develop. Iowa is one of the standard programs, in my opinion. They do a fucking great job.
McCoy Shannon wants to know if you have an opinion on Jared Castor over at Utah.
No, I don't.
That's fair.
But you know what? I'm going to write his name down and look him up and figure it out, because if you're bringing him up, I bet you he's probably got his shit together. I know that UTEP is a program on the rise.
Daryl Hopkins, which is something you can talk to Coach Sanford about. What do you think of Shador having the receivers at home training, and what do you think of CU chances of getting Juju Lewis from USC? It's his 3rd time visiting Boulder.
I'm glad that everybody's out working. That's good, because you see a lot of videos of everything else that's going on in Boulder. I'm glad we're seeing videos of them throwing and catching and doing things that apply to football. That's awesome. Look, guys, with the transfer portal and shit these days, I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care if they get this kid or not. I don't care. Like, the coaches and the plan that they have, the coaches have to go institute this plan. If they want to tell me that these kids that they're recruiting are better than the kids that they're not recruiting, I'm going to have to believe them. I've never seen the transfer portal work because it just started. I haven't seen it work on the flip your whole roster and start winning at the level you want to win at. So it didn't really work for USC, and they had Caleb Williams, for God's sakes. So did it work for CU? They have Shador Sanders, who's a first-round quarterback. We'll see. We'll see if all these guys that are coming in can play. The running back they already brought in already left for Mississippi. So he didn't even get on campus. I wonder if he's scared to compete too. Because when they brought him in, he wasn't scared to compete. But when he went to Mississippi, is he scared to compete? I don't know. I'm a little confused on that one still. I think Arfadal should get all the carries. Just give the fucking ball to 44. I bet you – how much you want to bet he goes for 1,500 if you give him the rock? Bet. and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So sometimes just having the ability to eat shit and smile pays off. And honestly, at this point, we're probably just going to try and get Coach Sanford on Friday. I'm still waiting to see if he can get his internet to work.
Last super chat, we got Coach K Stokes. Happy to help with the cleats fund.
All right.
Oh, Mike's back.
Oh, look, he's back.
Maybe. I don't know. Hi, Coach.
I think I'm back. I'm back to life. I'm back to life.
Is your shit working now?
Yeah, man. I tell you what, these kids, I got a 7 and 9-year-old, man, and they mess with all the electronics trying to get on the sticks, brother. A lot of Fortnite being played in the Sanford household. So
I'm glad you brought up the sticks. Coach Mike Sanford joining us here finally. Hey, so are you getting NCAA?
I'm gonna get it.
I'm gonna run you off the fucking sticks.
You probably will. I've had about a 20-year hiatus from the sticks since I was a college.
Everybody has, dog. No one plays video games when they're adults.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it like I can still mess around on the FIFA a little bit. FIFA's a good game. You know, it's one of those you can pick up and still play it. Damn, like Madden and NCAA in 25. There's a lot of different stuff going on in that game.
It'll be the same buttons, bro. It'll be the same. You know, you can go out there and run the fucking all verticals with the route in the middle of the field, and if you hit it right, it's unstoppable.
Just go straight Peyton Manning mode and just audible every single receiver out there.
Constant hurry up.
Just all manipulation.
I really piss people off when I play because I know like the tricks. So if you run the ball, you can just eat the whole clock and score 21 points and win damn near every game you play. And people get so fucking mad, dude.
Jez, you know what my favorite part of I'm going to go back into NCAA football 98. Damn. Running the midline triple option with Navy. You just bleed that clock. It was nasty.
Yep. The Air Force in a video game.
All
right. So let's get into this, brother. I'm glad you're on the show. Welcome to it. You can hear Coach Sanford on altitude damn near every day. And again, coaching up at Meade High School. Coach and I are going to be doing some football camps here in June and July. I already talked to everybody about that. I'm going to call you today, tomorrow to finalize all that shit and get it going. I think the Savage and Sanford football skills camp sounds pretty fucking good to me.
I'm in, brother.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty awesome. Can't wait for that. But look, let's get into this, bro. Look, you do all the shows with Demps. I used to be on the show with Demps. The Nuggets are a point of contact at altitude, and they should be. They were the defending champs. I was so disgusted by Game 6 that I almost didn't want to watch Game 7. And when they blew a 20-point lead in Game 7, it just revamped all the disgusting feelings from Game 6. And then going to Game 2 and how disgusting that was, I can't remember being this disgusted, physically ill, watching a team I care about, maybe ever. And I'm talking football, NFL, college. Like that is the most disgusting display I've ever seen from a defending champion in the history of sports.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And you know, you hear so much about just the sport of basketball being a different mindset than football. And you could point to Game 6 with a 45-point loss. It's like we don't have it today.
45 points?
45 points and scoring the absolute lowest point total on offense in the history of the Nuggets postseason franchise record. That's ridiculous. Scoring 70, what was it, 76? Did they get to
70? They lost 115 to 70, dog.
Yeah, that's a 45-point loss. And I wanted to say, you know what? Basketball is a different game in football. These games don't bleed into the next. Well, guess what? It did. It bled into Game 7. And while it didn't bleed into the beginning, the first 2 quarters of Game 7, it sure as hell reared its ugly head in that second half. And I was in that building. Were you in that building, Ches?
I went to Game 2. Brie and I went to Game 2, and it was disgusting.
Yeah, so essentially you were part of 2. I mean, I think Game 2 and Game 7 were equally disgusting from the perspective of just mailing it in, not having it. You know, and you keep hearing all this stuff about, you know, this is the greatest starting 5 in basketball right now. Cool. Right. And then you also hear the other side of it, which is not having a deep enough bench. It wears out the starting 5. Well, you're still the best starting 5 in basketball. You got a 20-point lead in your building. You got to finish it off. You've got to finish it off. You've got to dig deep inside because really those last 24 minutes of that basketball game, that was for the NBA championship, in my opinion.
100%.
And if you can't dig deep for 24 minutes with timeouts, with TV timeouts, like you're not playing 24 consecutive minutes. This isn't the CrossFit workout I just did where you're going freaking hard in the paint for 24 consecutive minutes. You've got to dig deep. You've got to find it. And if your shots aren't going because you're fatigued, then you got to take the ball to the cup. You got to take it and go beat Joker inside the paint. Go be AG inside the paint. And I don't care if you got Twin Towers. You can figure it out. You can space out the floor enough like they did in Game 6 and find the one-on-ones. It just wasn't there, man. It wasn't there. And I was disgusted.
Being football players, it's hard for us to relate. And I know that Demps probably has a little bit of a different perspective. And like, I guarantee you, he's calming you down the same way he used to calm me down. But at the same time, I know Scotty and Demps and Vic, everybody, they can't look at themselves in the mirror, just like the Nuggets can't, and justify this because that was for the NBA title, bro. The teams left. They're better than Boston. They're better than Indiana. They're better than Dallas. And I still think they're better than Minnesota. Minnesota figured out that Denver is not as mentally tough as we thought they were. And that's what they need to figure out this offseason. And I'm sorry, but either Murray or Porter, one of the two, either Murray needs to really dedicate. I'm sorry, but Jamal Murray doesn't look like a professional athlete to me, bro. Like Anthony Edwards, I saw a picture of him D'ing Jamal Murray up, and Edwards is ripped as fucking swole as shit and like hulking over him, and Jamal looks emaciated and looks like he doesn't have like skinny and just he doesn't look like the fucking starting shooting guard in the NBA. Now he has great moments and he can kill you at the end of the game. And yes, he had 35 points the other night, but he also there's just something about Jamal Murray that it's off from this season, from last season. And then Michael Porter Jr., which one, like both of these guys together don't seem to be the correct fit for Nikola anymore. So which one of them has to go to maybe bring in some other guys, bring in 2 or 3 guys rather than one that can do the job that the one guy's not doing. Does that make sense?
It does. And you have 3 guys right now on max contracts, and you mentioned all 3 in that comment there. One of the 3, I think, played championship basketball in the postseason. Not every night, and that was Nikola Jokic. I mean, he played championship level of basketball to the best of his ability, and it's different than other people, right? He's not the guy that's going to, be Joel Embiid and just, put up every shot and neglect his teammates. He reads the situation. He reads the floor. He makes the right passes based off of the way that he's being defended on any given day. But the problem is that 2 of your 3 max contract players played without any consistency in this postseason. 0 consistency. And I think the one that ended up hurting the Nuggets certainly more as it relates to this postseason was MPJ in that second series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He didn't show up.
4 points in 4 points.
4 points.
4 fucking points.
You know what else really bothered me, Ches? Just if we're looking at this from 2 meatheads that played football, and I was a 350 pound hang cleaner. I'm sure you were in the 400 range, but two complete meatheads right here. Hell, I just went out and squat snatched before I got on the program. I was squat snatching a whole bunch of weight on the bar, but a couple meatheads here. Like, if you're a true competitor, how do you let Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert scare you from taking the ball to the cup? And I'm talking about MPJ. I'm talking about Jamal Murray. I think Nikola Jokic showed that he was willing to do that enough. Could have done it more.
Yeah, they were blocking his shot left and right. He just kept going.
Yeah, you know what? And that's a mindset. And he still got his, right? He still ended up getting his. He didn't. I think there was one game where he didn't score greater than 20 points, but he still is going to find a way to get his. The other players, like if you went into the series, Ches, and you said that the Minnesota Timberwolves, let's name these players by name, would be way more mentally and physically tough in this series than the defending champs and what they showed last year. Rudy Gobert, do you think would you say he's a mentally and physically tough player year in, year out in his career? I don't think so.
Nikola eats him alive, bro.
And then let's talk about Karl Anthony Towns. Like, the book on him has been scores a ton of points, pads the stats, and he's soft. He didn't look soft in Game 7. He out-physical you, and he out-mentaled you in Game 7. And in front of the whole series.
So, like, Nicola eats up Karl-Anthony Towns and Gobert regularly. We hear that narrative all the time. So on and so forth. It seems like all the guys from Minnesota at halftime of Game 7 said, you know what? Fuck all this. What are we scared of? And they just started riding with Anthony Edwards. And, I got to give it to Gobert. He played his ass off in the second half.
Yeah, flowers to him, man. Yeah, they out.
Karl-Anthony Towns balled. The McDaniel kid balled. Nas Reed was fucking eating us alive, bro. I
was at game 1.
Is doing what Aaron Gordon should be doing. Aaron Gordon had some great games, but again, where was he in Game 7? Bro, it just seems to me like they squandered an opportunity to go back-to-back. And next year, I watched the Avs do this. I watched the Avs win a cup, underperform in the fucking playoffs and blow it, and now they're out in the second round, and they're trying to go back and win it again. And I know there's a lot of going on with Nichushkin and stuff like that, but still, the Nugs, there's no guarantee they're going to be as good as they've been. If you only get one title with Nikola Jokic in his tenure, that is a massive failure.
3 out of 4 MVPs, man. 3 out of 4 MVPs, and you leave this season with a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions, and I don't see a ton of just obvious answers that are out there. And the problem is because you do have 3 max contracts, there is no wiggle room in that salary cap. And so you're going to have to make a hard decision. Calvin Booth, I think he does have some hardcore, draw a line in the sand executor to him. I do. I think he's a little bit more like bottom line business. We got to find a way to get another title in this window. It's probably going to be MPJ, man. I think that's my prediction is that MPJ will be the casualty. I'd love to see Jamal Murray sit out the Olympics. Who freaking cares? Who's watching the Olympics?
Dog,
I'm not watching it.
Canada, and you don't need to go play for Canada. Fuck Canada. The Denver Nuggets are more important than fucking Canada basketball. No one gives a shit other than Drake. Fuck Canada. What's even on that flag? What is that, a pot leaf? I mean, come on.
It's got some resin on that flag, brother. It's a little resin.
All right, moving on here.
Hey, one last thing to kind of just tie a bow on it, man, is the excuse and the narrative that the Nuggets ran out of gas. The Nuggets ran out of gas, right?
I don't believe that. I don't believe it.
Okay, cool. You and I and athletes all across every sport, I don't care what sport it is, you do run out of gas, but you also have a choice. There's a choice.
You're trained to run out of gas and still play.
And then make a choice and push through. That's what you do. You have to. And if it affects your shot making ability, cool. Go take it to the rack. You got Aaron Gordon, you got Michael Porter Jr., you got Nikola Jokic, you got guys that can match physically inside the paint at their best or when they choose to be at their best with the Twin Towers that Minnesota had. They chose not to.
All right, who are you taking? The East, I'm sure you're taking
I can't,
Boston,
man.
right?
I can't. I'm sick right now. I'm sick. I can't watch this, man.
You have to watch. I think
fine.
You're gonna fucking watch tonight.
I got to take I watched last night. I did. I said I wasn't watching another minute of basketball this postseason. Of course, I'm glued to my TV in the fourth quarter of that Indianapolis Boston.
Because I think Dallas can beat Minnesota. I really do. I think Luka's just that guy, and I'd love to see Dallas go on a run and win the title. And because I like Luka, and Kyrie's kind of a bitch, but he seems to have fit there. And I like Mark Cuban and the way they've done things.
How about this one, Ches? Okay, so I'm rooting for Minnesota to blow Dallas off that court. Why? Okay. I want Luka Doncic to be so pissed off with his surrounding cast that he demands a trade.
So trade Michael Porter and whoever else.
KCP, whatever. Take him. I don't
We'll take Porter, KCP, and first rounder for the next 10 years and give us Luka Doncic. I'm fucking sold in.
Done.
The fucking Eastern Bloc in Denver, bitch.
Let's go, man. Let's go. We're gonna learn all of our Russian and Eastern European languages.
Bro. It's gonna be fucking awesome. There's going to be horse carriage races left and right. Coach Mike Sanford joining us here on 0 to 60. Let's get into this football talk, Coach. We got you about for another 10, 15 minutes here, and then we'll get you out of here. I'll give you a call after the show, and we'll chop this up because I think we got some big shit on deck, my friend. All right. University of Colorado sells out for the second consecutive year. That's awesome. Move to the Big 12. Awesome. Things are great. Some people think there's been a little bit of a rocky offseason. I am in that court. I think that there's some definite writing on the wall that some of the quote unquote stars on the team obviously were disgruntled because they all fucking left. So where do you stand right now with what's going on in Boulder and the bus? How do you feel about, I'm not worried about Shador necessarily. I'm not really worried about Travis Hunter. I'm not worried about Joe Horn. I'm not worried about the guys we saw last year. I think that they'll play to a standard that they should. Not really worried about Seton, although a freshman tackle, we'll see. But I am, and I wanted to get your opinion on this being an ex-head coach at the college football level. Dabo Swinney came out and blatantly said, look, we're not in the transfer portal because most of the guys in the transfer portal can't play here. And I don't know how many conversations I've had with you where you're like, the transfer portal is a bunch of scabs and guys that shouldn't be, like, didn't work out or turds and yada, yada. And, bro, it's what it is. Let's just be real. So, all that said, how are we feeling about the Colorado Buffaloes moving in here to, to start the first season back in the Big 12?
Let's start with the Dabo Swinney conversation. And just, I agree to a certain extent. I think that the transfer portal turns to absolute dog crap when you get to the spring window. I think the spring window it's the malcontent group. It's the ones that didn't get the playing time. They're not slotted in to be a starter or a backup. They're not going to be in the plans because nobody really wants to let their guys walk. They're going to find a way to keep their good players, their good dudes. They're completely bought in, invested players that are there for spring ball. So the spring window scares the living crap out of me. Now, the December window, I think there's quality in the December window. My biggest fear right now for the CU Buffs, it's like you said, it's really not even the offensive line. It's not Shador. It's not the skill players. I was at that spring game, and as it relates to the positions where you can find quality in the portal, particularly in that December, January window, this team's good, man. I mean, it's really good. And that's at wide receiver, quarterback, which is pretty obvious, defensive back, and edge rusher. Like, those are the positions that you can beef up in the transfer portal, especially in the December, January window, which is what we saw in the spring game. I'm not counting on this spring transfer, the loot that they brought in, the Louis that they're bringing in from the spring window. That's not going to make you that much better, okay? My biggest concern right now, because you want to run the football, you have to run the football. And in today's college football, if you don't have depth at tight end and you don't have multiplicity in the bodies that you can use at the tight end position, you got problems because you got to play 10 personnel football, which is exactly what CU had to do last season. That's what Sean Lewis had to do. There was no other choice. Mikey Harrison, love him. I coached him. He's not a tight end, man. He's not going to put his face on a 6 technique, cross his face, and hold the point, right? So you have to either run RPOs against zone coverage, or you see defenses that give you a 4-2 box versus a 10 personnel spread set, and you got to run zone read. How many times in a game of a 12-game plus season do you want Shador Sanders running zone read and getting dirty? You don't. So what's the answer? You got to add tight ends into the mix. That's how you get your numbers back. But those tight ends, they have to be a starting first. They got to run. They got to be able to block in the run game. They have to be able to protect in the pass game, and then they have to be at least some version of a threat in the pass game. And right now, I don't know. Is that guy here? Is he here? We don't know that because I went to the spring game. They didn't have a tight end. Period. There wasn't a tight end.
So they've got problems at tight end. I think they've got some problems at running back. I love Charlie Offerdahl. You love Charlie too.
My guy.
He's a good change-up. If he's the starter, I'm not trying to talk shit about Charlie, but if he's our starter, is that good or is that bad?
If you're going to throw the ball 52 times a game, then it'll be fine because he'll stick his face on anybody. But Ches, do you win championships for throwing the football 52 times a game? Have you ever seen it?
If they have to throw the ball 52 times a game next year, we're going to go 5-7.
Yeah, I mean, that's a reality. And I love Charlie too, man. I played him. I started him in 2022. This isn't a new development. He ended up being the best we had. The most committed, the toughest, the best vision of the backs that we had in 2022. And I started the guy for 2-3 games, right? It's no different. How'd that go?
Look, a lot of people, the football fan they think that running the football is just an offensive line thing. Like, oh, we went and got 5 new offensive linemen, and Zelinkus is probably going to start at center, and
Stud.
they absolute stud, hell of a
Love
kid.
him.
Like they got better, so they're going to be able to run the ball. But they forget, just like you brought up, we don't have any tight ends, and all of our backs transferred. So much more goes into running the football than just getting offensive linemen. Now, it should help having 5, 6, 7 guys in the offensive line that can actually play this year as opposed to what we had last year. But at the same time, do you really think that they actually are going to be able to commit to the running game? Or is it going to turn into showcase Shedeur? And I'm not trying to hate on them. They should showcase Shedeur. But as a quarterback yourself and as a quarterback coach and a head coach and everything else, a quarterback's best friend is the run game and the fucking tight end. And we can't run the ball. We don't have any tight ends. So how can that help Shedeur Sanders? And how can Coach Prime be in this position where the 2 positions and that will help his son the most are neglected like this? How?
Yeah, I don't think they're neglected. I just think it's the hardest position to find in the transfer portal. Yeah,
well,
I mean,
what happened in the running back room, bro? What, like, I know
well,
you can't
running back room. I don't know what happened there. Especially the Dylan Edwards thing. Still to this day is a big
Edwards, McCaskill, and they lost the Amos kid before he even got on campus. He couldn't even get here before he was at Ole Miss.
I get McCaskill to a certain extent because I think he was healthy last year, just didn't play. And when he did play, he looked a little stiff, man. He looked a little linear. He didn't have great side-to-side agility. Dylan Edwards does. He did. And that was Prime's guy. So I don't know what happened there. I think that's a great mystery. It didn't seem like there was any ill will. There's no negativity coming from Dylan Edwards camps towards Coach Prime and the Buffs. They didn't see it at all, at least from my perspective. So that to me was a bit surprising. Hey, we'll see what Dallas Hayden can do from Ohio State. We'll see what he can do. I think that'll be an important one to watch. And then, frankly, until we see what happens in fall camp, and I think most of it will be close practice, so we'll evaluate it against North Dakota State, man. That's the reality.
Look, I'm glad you brought that up.
Is there going to be a tight end? And you don't need one, man. You need 2 or 3. You know that well. Like you got to play with 2 or 3.
Especially these days in college football, if you want to run the ball, and even if you don't want to run the ball, if you want to give the illusion you're running the ball and attack the middle of the field, the tight end and the H-back position is so goddamn important.
Who won the national championship? You can see right here from Andre Duke. He left a comment right here. Look at what Michigan 22 personnel
exactly
and won it all, man. And just
like,
ran.
I've been watching fucking the Super Bowl in here on the NFL app for God knows how long, because I'm just number one, it's the only fucking game that works on the NFL app for some reason. And number 2, it was a hell of a game. My boy Mike Pennell balled out in it. I can't stop watching him backhand Trent fucking Williams and throwing him on his head like that shit. Fucking it. I know it turns the meathead on. It just turns me on. I don't know what to tell you. So watching that, fucking Kansas City at one point has 4 tight ends on the field for like 5 or 6 plays. So there's a method behind
the greatest quarterback in the last 2 decades, probably, right?
And
they're still doing
all of Brady's offense. Bro, when I play Tom Brady, we're playing Tom Brady on Monday Night Football. They walk out with fucking the tight end set is like Christian Fourier. Let's see, it was Christian, Dan Graham, and fucking Vrabel. And I'm like, okay, so they're getting real creative with who they're throwing out here. 2 buffs and fucking Mike Vrabel. And they're like running combo stack routes on the goal line and throwing Vrabel touchdowns and talking shit on Monday Night Football. And I just bring this up because the tight end position is so important, and it doesn't seem like the Buffs have one, and that's a problem. But I know who does, and that's North Dakota State. And you brought it up, bro. And North Dakota State, brother. Dog, it is the scariest opener ever. Like, this scares the absolute shit out of me, because this is the team that, if you look at the Power 5 games that they played in from like 2010 on, they have 1 loss. They won all the games. Their only loss is like an overtime loss or something at Kansas State or some shit. And they are fucking tough. They know their system. Everybody there is under recruited and pissed off about it. And they are going to walk into Folsom and line up in fucking 22 and 23 personnel and run the ball right at us the whole game.
And shorten the game. They're going to do everything you can. They're going to use 39.9 seconds of every shot clock in that game. That's reality.
I don't know what the over-under on that one's going to be, but I'd imagine
It's going to be low.
They'll be. I bet you they're 14-point favorites, though.
Yeah, it's the scariest thing about North Dakota State is not only you know what it is. It's Iowa football. It's Iowa football. So everybody thinks Iowa. If you look at their defense, you look out there and they have a bunch of MAGA corners playing. And you think, there's no way that these guys can do it. They run the best version of cover two, and so they end up. You think you're just going to slice apart cover two in the run game. They play -1 box defense because they play it so well. They two gap all their down linemen. Their backers are so damn disciplined playing over the top and reading keys. And then you end up getting really, it is physical cover two. They're going to beat you up on the slot. They don't involve their nickel in the run fit. They play -1 box defense against spread sets, and they make it tough for you to run the football. And I'd ask you this question, Chaz. Having played defensive line, I know you've played offensive line as well, but having played defensive line, when you're lining up for, let's say, 55 snaps in a game, that 75 snaps, right? It's probably what you ended up. Would you say you averaged 55 when you were starter at CU?
Like the most I played 104 against Texas once.
That's a lot.
I wanted to die afterwards. It was awful.
Yeah, but think about this, man.
Usually your grade sheet, I'd say you're between 50 and 65 plays. Yeah,
right. That's pretty standard for a starting defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Would you rather? And I'm back to the conversation about CU and the lack of tight ends and run the football. Would you rather have the ability to know at the snap that you're going to be able to have a two-way go and pass rush like a son of a gun 50 some odd times in a game? Or would you rather, would you choose to have extra tight end, which creates double teams and combinations? And now you're getting leaned on by two 315 pounders as opposed to one. Which option would you choose if you're playing D-line?
Well, I love 9-on-7, so I fucking love it. Double team, motherfucker. Let's go. But I also love pass rushing. And when you're 1-on-1, dog,
it's a lot easier.
You can go to fucking work on somebody's ass. So when you look, North Dakota State, the night game at Nebraska, that's going to be a fucking incredible atmosphere. Like nothing these guys have ever seen. Folsom's special, and I love it, but Lincoln this fucking place is different. They've never played at night before. CU in Nebraska at night on NBC is going to be crazy, and they got some dudes, and they got after Shedeur last year rushing the passer. The fucking the CSU game in Fort Collins, I would be shocked if Games Day's not there, and they are going to get after. They got after Shedeur's ass last year. People pass rushers love pass rushing. You earn the right to pass rush on first and second down. If you can't stop the run, you don't get the right to fucking pass rush. So, yeah, man, I love playing the run because I love football, but being able to pass rush, number one, if you can do it and you have an advantage, and every defensive lineman, if they know their craft, has an advantage on the offensive line because they're just better athletes, you can make life a living fucking hell, bro. You've been in the situation at quarterback where you go, I love my guys up front, but we're fucked.
Yeah,
we can't block these guys, and the coaches know we can't block these guys. And as the quarterback, I know we can't block these fucking guys, and I'm getting crushed. And all you can do is be captain positive and go out there and try and put this facade up that everything's under control. Mm. And that's what good leaders do. So I'm worried that, we saw Shedeur last year break his back against a team, and that's one thing. I haven't heard anything from that in the entire offseason. He went from breaking his back to no one heard about anything about his back or rehab or surgery or anything. And if he's got a broken spinal cord last year or spine or whatever, that as a defensive lineman, that's the first fucking thing. If I'm in Nebraska Cornhusker, it's the first thing I'm saying in the meeting. This guy broke his back against Washington State. And you run with it from that, but that's all I'm saying.
My guess, Chaz, just having been around recent, I guess staff meetings where you talk about injuries and you kind of understand. My guess is that it was a stress fracture, and stress fractures they kind of add up over time. You can kind of thug it out and make it through it as much as possible. But the reality of it is that at some point your mobility is hindered by it. Stress fractures do heal fairly quickly just by rest.
I hope he's okay.
That's my guess, man. Just seeing him in the spring game. He looked himself.
Good. All right. So look, we'll get you out of here on this one, and then I'd like to try and figure out a day every week that we can get you on and talk about potentially working together here moving forward, also into the football season. Move back to the Big 12. All right. I played in the old Big 12 where, my division was, for all the young heads out there, the division I played in college was Kansas, Kansas State, Missouri, Nebraska, Colorado, and Iowa State. That was the North. Well, now the Big 12 is totally different. I think CU has a real legitimate opportunity this year if they can just figure out a couple of things that we already spoke about to actually turn some heads and win some games and put 2 guys in the top 10 in the draft. And I think that if they do that and they're winning and they're ranked, I watched Jaden Daniels win the Heisman with 2 losses and not playing in the playoff. Now with a 12-team playoff, I think CU, if they can do what I think they can do, they can have a shot at getting in. I think you could have 2 guys in New York for the Heisman. You could have 2 guys picked in the top 10. Can this team rally around Shedeur and Travis the way they need to win 9-10 games? How about this? To make Oklahoma State on Senior Day mean something. Like, if you're playing for something on Senior Day, you've had a good year. And that is so important to me, that to make sure that the old Big 8 rival, Oklahoma State Cowboys, who CU has been playing for fucking ever, the Kansas State the Kansas Jayhawks, the Kansas State Wildcats, when we play those 3 teams, we need to be humming and ranked and fucking telling them we're back in the conference where we used to shit stomp you, remember? Well, we're back. So the Oklahoma State game at the end of the year is so important to me for that reason. Elaborate on that before we get you out of here.
What's interesting about the Big 12, you had 4 teams that joined the conference a year ago, and then you have another group coming in this year. Those 4 teams, UCF, Houston, BYU, and Cincinnati, those 4 teams, now they've had a full year in the conference to acquit to the style of play. Those teams are going to be better. Okay. Bottom line is UCF has probably the best location in America to benefit from the transfer portal. That's a reality, right? They're right there in the heart of it all. They've done very well in the portal. Gus Malzahn's a good football coach, and frankly, they run the football, man. They're going to run the ball right at you. They do have the athletes to exploit you down the field. But if you look at the rest of the Big 12 that's coming back, you take Texas and Oklahoma out of last year's Big 12. Oklahoma State, they've evolved to a team that likes to run the ball, and they want to hit you in the mouth. Iowa State, both sides of the ball. Matt Campbell's built a brand on hitting you in the mouth repeatedly. Kansas State and Kansas are both teams that want to completely dominate the line of scrimmage and do it in creative ways, and they've been very, very effective in doing so. West Virginia, a team that everybody said was going to be dead last year, ends up 9-4. They're going to be better. They're going to be good. And then you got, like I said, I talked about the teams. TCU, they were in the dang national championship 2 years ago. We opened with that team, and they end up in the national championship game. They had a down year at 5-7. They were 3-6, man. 3-6 in this conference. And that was by far the biggest win of CU's season last year, and it was amazing. I was tipped my cap, stood up, standing ovation for Coach Prime and what he did. And
I was losing my fucking mind.
Well, even with the bitterness of being a guy that wasn't, I wasn't kept, brother. Right. So there's bitterness in that. And I after that game, I'm sitting there tipping my cap. But the reality of that team is, guess what? They finished in the Big 12, 3-6 in that conference, 3-6. And then the bottom 4 teams, Houston, BYU, Baylor, and Cincinnati, you can't think that they're going to, they went out and invested. They went out and got the right pieces of the transfer portal. My brother-in-law coaches at BYU. They're going to be a better team. They were a young team a year ago. And now you add Utah, who's going to be the biggest bully on the block. Man,
Utah's the best team in the conference walking into the conference. No one wants to go to fucking Salt Lake.
And how do they do it? They do it with physicality, man. They do it with the trenches. They play bully ball. Arizona, I think they're in a transitional year. They have lost their head coach, transfer portal. I think that's going to be one of the down teams actually in the Big 12. You got to win that game. You got to. Arizona State, I'm not buying. I'm just not buying. Just not buying. So I think that one of the 4 teams going into the Big 12 is definitely going to be at the top of the mix. CU's the great unknown because they have the best quarterback going into this season by many people's opinions. You're always going to have a chance if you have a quarterback. You got to be able to keep it close. And you know that Shedeur's greatest trait, end of game scenarios. That's what, like, if I'm going into it, that as an NFL evaluator, there's 2 things that I love about Shedeur Sanders. He's very accurate and doesn't turn the football over. And then he wins the close games at the end. If you keep it close and give him a chance to go do it, he'll do it. But my concerns are the teams that I just mentioned. They're going to play bully ball, man. They're going to try to run it at you. And everybody thinks the Big 12 is this finesse league. It's not. It's changed. Lincoln Riley's gone. The air raid offense is gone. There's a lot of tight ends. There's a lot of physicality in this league. And the Kansas and Iowa schools, they're the ones that are going to do it to you. Yeah. Utah's going to do it to you. So you better
line up and fucking run right at you the entire.
And so is Kansas, man. I think they got the best head coach in college football right now.
Yeah, Leipold, he's that guy, bro. He's the shit. Now,
what did Houston do? What did Houston do? They went out and got Willie Fritz, man. Another guy that's going to run freaking right at you. He's got an option background.
He's not bad, bro. The University of Houston is in the fucking Mecca. Now they can recruit in the Big 12, and that's going to be a really good program moving forward. I wanted to bring this up before we get out of here, and I got a group of guys going into the film room here in a second. Jalen Rashad, how would you feel if you're a head coach and some fucking 19-year-old kid says you own $14 million off of a handshake deal? Go.
Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to this new era of college football. It's what it is. I'm surprised it's taking this long for something like this to happen, because I've heard of all the promises that frankly haven't been fulfilled. And it's not just at Florida, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And if Jaden Rashad ends up winning something, even if there's a settlement out of court, you're going to see this. It's going to be a pandemic relative to college
people
football.
Suing people left and right. They can set precedent. Either you have to have a signed contract to be an adult, or you can handshake deal and sue college football coaches and get paid.
After 2020, right? The year 2020, a lot happened that year. It was certainly, we remember it in Colorado for the pandemic. I remember it being in Minnesota, whatever happened with George Floyd. I mean, that's exactly what I was in the middle of that. I drove through that on my way to work. The NCAA that year said, we're going to make it about our athletes, not our coaches, not our institutions, about our athletes. The courts did the exact same thing. The courts are going to make it about the athletes. So if Jaden Rashad ends up making some bread off this deal, look out. It's going to be widespread across the NCAA football landscape. Watch.
Holy shit. All right. Well, we're ending it on that one. Coach Mike Sanford, love you, brother. I'll be in touch shortly. Everybody make sure you follow Coach Sanford on social media. It's a great follow on Twitter. I can't wait for the summer, bro. We got big shit on deck. Coach Mike Sanford, you're the man. Peace.
See you, brother.
Love you, man. All right. That's 0 to 60. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. Thank you to Bree Macis for handling everything in the back end. Thank you to Coach Mike Sanford for coming on the show. Remember, check out everything. Bet online. Check out Factor. Check out 60equipment.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Carl Reed. Now, Carl Reed, 247, he's big time. He's been on Coach JB's show. He knows everything about everything in recruiting all over the national landscape. I don't know if there's a better guest to have on to talk about college football. He's got a very unique perspective. You do not want to miss this tomorrow. Carl Reed's on the show. So check that out. And then Friday, God fucking knows what we're going to do Friday. But, hey, you'll figure it out when I figure it out. So this is 0 to 60. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. We are out. Have yourself a great day. And as always, go Buffs.